Hey guys, it's Ms. Ladd. I'm going to show you how I want you to go about doing this tutorial, this click game tutorial. All right, I'm going to open up Chrome, this Q4 Week 1 assignment so you can see it. I'm just going to click on this guy right here. And as you can see here, we've got view code, here, right? And see, there's no code here. If I go to that view code, this is what I get. I can probably then turn around and say remix. And then it's going to say remix, click game screens. I want to rename this. So I'm going to hit the rename button. And I'm going to name it my name. And then dash click game. Let's go ahead and save that. All right, so now it's been saved. I have 3 different screens in here. I have a start screen, a game screen, and a game over screen. Then here I have all the code for all 3 screens. Let's just go over the screens initially so you're familiar with them. First is the start screen. This is our default. As you can see, this item has an ID of start-title. This has intro, and this has an ID of play for the play button. If we go to game screen, you can see here we've got 3 elements. One is this click box. Another is this UI score, and a third is this UI seconds. When I go to the game over screen, you can see I have the title of the game over screen. I could change that to game over, but it doesn't really matter too much. This has an ID of congratulations. This has an ID of score label. And then I have a button here that has an ID of again. All right. So let's go through the process. First thing, let's go back to our design. Let's go to our start screen. Easiest way to get an event listener on an element is to click that element. So see, you can see I have play, I have its text, I have all this stuff. So if I click on this events tab and I click insert and show code, you can see I've got this. Well, what I really want to have happen besides play clicked is I want to have it set screen. So I'm going to do set screen. And look at that. I have a set of arguments. So you can see here where that blue box is. I'm going to talk a little bit about functions. Function set screen is a built-in function made for us by code.org. It has a parameter. So see that underscore screen ID? That means I need to tell it which screen to go to. So that's going to be the game screen. That's our argument. All right. There it is. So now I don't have any code here. I do have code here now. So just say event listener to progress to game screen. Easy peasy. So now when I test this, it'll say play clicked in the console, and then it'll move me over to the set screen. How I can test this, I hit the run button, I hit play, and voila, we can see play clicked in the console, and we can see that we have advanced to the game screen. All right, we're gonna do some more code. So the next thing is that I need a couple of different things. I'm gonna need a variable for my score. So var score equals 0. And why it's important for me to set the value here as a number is it must be a number in order for us to add to it. If that variable was not defined, then when we tried to use plus plus or plus equals or even score plus score equals score plus 1, all of those things would fail because score doesn't have a value. It would be undefined if we did not set its value right here. I'm going to do the same thing with seconds. Again, same reason. If we want to subtract from it, we need to have a value that has been preset. I'm going to drop in what's called a doc block. It is a description of what happens when you run this function. Now this happens to be an event listener, so we're going to do the on event. If we need to, we can grab the on event code right here, this little block here. And then the ID of our element, if we go back to design for a moment and we hit the game screen, we can see the ID of our element is click-box. So let's go back to code. And what's kind of nice is I can leave this part up while if I need to go back and go, okay, what are these things? How big is this? Blah, blah, blah. I can leave this up here during my code part. So click-box. And if need be, if I don't remember that, I can also just go back to show blocks, right? And I've got that little drop down that lets me know kind of what elements I have available to me. So you can see all the different IDs in here. You go, oh yeah, that's the click box. Okay, back to show text because that's what I prefer. And I will go back and forth between blocks and text because I know some people like blocks and some people like text. I happen to prefer text just because I never had the opportunity to work with blocks. So this is how coding gets done. You might as well just start doing it this way so that you get used to it. So number one, right? What's the first thing that we do when we add, when we click on the box? We add to the score. So I'm just gonna use the shortcut score plus plus because I'm not ever gonna have it add 2, right? If I was gonna do 2, I might have to do score equals score plus 2. If I want to increment my clicks by 2, that's fine. Okay, next thing is not only do we need to update the value of line 7, right? We also need to let the user know that it's been changed. So just so you know, this guy's what's called a global variable. And what that does is it allows, since it's outside of any function, these variables are outside of any function, this allows all functions to be able to access their value. So this is a global variable. This is why we don't need to put the keyword var in front of it. Okay. Next, we need to update the score. So let's update display. We need to update the score. We need to update the display so the user knows that a score has happened. This is where we're going to add a local variable. And I'm going to call this sMessage equals. I'm going to set its value to be score. So see how I've got quotes? So that means it is a string. So score, colon, I'm going to leave a space, and I'm going to add the value of score onto it. So this is going to create a local variable for me to then turn around and use this set property block. This tells you the parameters that it wants. So first it's got ID, its default is width, and then its default value is 100. We're going to change this to the label of our thing here, which is UI score. Property we're going to change is its text. And then the value we're going to set it to is sMessage. So there's another variable, right? It's what's called concatenation. It's taking text and we're adding a variable to it so that then we can just drop that variable value in there. So when score is 1, we're going to see the words score 1. When score is 2, 3, 4, etc., it's going to be score, colon, space, the number, whatever that is. All right, based off of how many times you've clicked it. All right, so that's number 1. Let's see if this works. So let's go ahead and hit run. we're going to come back to this front page. If we need to, we can just like, if we find it too irritating to just kind of keep doing that button there, we can set this to default temporarily. But as you can see, my button is clicked and it's going up in score. Cool. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit reset. So this is the end of part 1. We've talked about event listeners a bit and variables. We've talked about 2 different data types, numbers and strings, and we've used a simple concatenation where we added a number to a string, making the whole thing a string. We've talked about some of the pre-built functions that code.org provides for us and how these functions have what are called parameters. These parameters have values set to them called arguments. That makes the functions reusable and flexible in their output. I hope that this has been helpful and enlightening and that you've learned more about variables and functions. In part 2, we are going to continue with adding more functionality to our game. We're going to create a function, do a bit more with parameters, arguments, and use the keyword return. So, until then, happy coding, everyone!